Let's begin with our conversation, the main conversation for tonight. And it has to do with a story about the relationship between President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Both of them at some point today are not in the country. The president is being in London on a private visit, and the vice president traveled to Niger Republic for an extraordinary ECOWAS meeting where he's representing the president. But look, the story tonight and the conversation we'll be having is about what has been happening between both men. The presidency today came out to say that some appointees attached to the office of the vice president have been asked to go. The confirmation, which is contained in a statement by presidential spokesperson, Mr. Garba Shehu, explains that there is an ongoing overhaul of the seat of government, which has resulted in several political appointments being revoked or not renewed for a second term. According to him, the exercise is on the orders of President Muhammadu Buhari and is aimed at cutting down multiple authorities and reducing administrative costs. He says the overhaul affects the office of the president and the vice president and is therefore not targeted to undermine the vice president's office. According to him, there has been a streamlining of staff going on for a while now. The president has always had fewer staff than the vice president, and there were always plans to reduce the number of staff at the villa. He goes on to say that there is no need to read any ulterior motive into the exercise as is being done in some quarters, especially speculations of a rift between the president and his vice. He's saying, quote, the presidency wishes to strongly deny rumors of a rift between President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice president Yemi Osinbajo. The relationship between the two leaders remains excellent and trusting. Together, they will script a glorious future for the nation. End of quote. The presidential spokesperson insists that the president is in control of his government and there is absolutely nothing too powerful for the president to control. I have now the Special Assistant to the President, the man who wrote that statement today. He joins us from Kano via Skype, and from Abuja is the National Chairman of the Zenith Labour Party and the lawyer Chief Dan Iwanyawu. Let's be with Malam Garba Shehu. Thank you so much, Malam Shehu, for joining us tonight. Quickly clarify to Nigerians, because there's been a whole lot of talk about what is happening. We heard 35 people have been removed from the office of the vice president. At first, when the stories came out, it was being said from the seat of power that they are peddling rumors. But it has come out now that the president has confirmed that they are removing some people from the office of the vice president. Can you tell us specifically what are those that were removed from the presidency office? If you make comparison in terms of number, maybe a lot of those, the naysayers, according to what the presidency is saying, maybe get clarity on what is happening exactly.
Well, you know that when you have stories breaking out in the press, as spokespersons, both of ourselves in the president's office and the vice president's office, you need to be briefed. You cannot come before the cameras and confirm or deny. When you eventually get to hear or to get the correct perspective, then you are able to speak on the given issue. Yes, it is true that the president had always wished that that we had a slimmer, a lighter, overhead at the presidency. There is a sense that the staffing was over-bloated and it needed to be reduced. And as we said in that statement, the president himself had not all those who had served with him in the first term. This is to save taxpayer money, nothing more than that. So it is not by coincidence that you have a higher number coming from the office of the vice president, because he had far more responsibilities than ordinarily was the case. Now we have ministers, and some of these responsibilities have also gone to ministers. So it is not a relationship problem. It's purely official. A relationship between the president and the vice president has remained cordial, solid, and a trusting one. It has always been like this. It will continue to be like that.
Malam Shehu, give us a sense of what has happened, because for some of us who have followed what has happened in the seat of power from 1999, most especially in our democracy, I remember you were working in the office of the vice president at some point. You were affected by some kind of shedding of personnel at some point. So some of the talks about this, you're perhaps not new to some of these conversations. But let me ask you, Malam Shehu, if you come out to Nigerians and give them a sense of what is happening. Is it true, confirm to us, 35 people 3 days ago were removed from the office of the vice president? True or false? How many were removed from the office of the president? Because you did say in the statement that it affected also the office of the president.
Well, you have said so much. Yeah. It is in the nation's interest that we have government that is one. Division at the highest level of government is unhelpful. As you said yourself, yes, I was a witness to a divided government in the past. It didn't help the actors themselves, it didn't help the nation. And Nigerian press in particular, and the bloggers and all of the social media crowd in this country, please give President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Osinbajo the space they need in order they work as a team for the benefit of the Nigeria. There is no division between themselves. There is good understanding. And as I said, it is a trusting relationship. We don't see any divisions. And the fact that you are having less people reporting in the villa for work in any part of the villa does not in any way suggest that there is a split or the relationships are spoiled. How many people were removed from the president's office? I need to go back and do a check on that. I don't have the numbers, but yes, 35 from the office of the vice president had been indicated as having been asked to leave. But this, I tell you, it's not in any way to slight him, and there is nothing to suggest that it will affect the quality of the support that the vice president gives to Mr. President.
Stay with us, Malam Garba Shehu. Let's go to our Abuja studio, where the national chairman of the Zenith Labour Party, Chief Dan Nwanyawu, is an experienced politician in Nigeria and also a lawyer. Chief Nwanyawu, come into the conversation. What do you make of what is happening? So many stories at the same time. The stories from the inner sources, and when you hear journalists say, my sources and our sources say this, there are indications, but it's no longer rumor, as the presidency has confirmed that this is really happening, and these people have been asked to go. What do you make of what is happening?
Thank you, Shehu, for this opportunity. If you are not in the market, you won't be in a position to know who was in the market and what was sold. Prima facie, on the surface of it, it may appear to some Nigerians that there is a frosty relationship between the president and the vice president. But if you look at it deeply, very deeply, you will have reasons to doubt whether some of these things we read about the vice president and the president as regards to their relationship can be taken with a pinch of salt. The spokesperson of the presidency has spoken that, yes, it is true. We are for leaner government. We have less people in government. If we have our way, we should reduce the number of aids and parastatals and other government agencies. But if you go further, the vice president has not called for help. He has not complained that his position is being denigrated upon. And I do not know how we sit outside and create problems or create issues that are not there. The vice president, I must tell you, is one of the most engaged vice presidents, without more. I recall since 1999, the vice president has been very busy vice president. As I'm talking to you now, he's in Niger representing the president. A few days ago, he presided over the Executive Council, ESCO, and he has had a lot of engagements for the president. I do not want to speak on speculation. I am not used to anticipating people or trying to arrive at something that does not exist. I am very sure and I'm convinced that Vice President Professor Osinbajo has sufficient personal pride to protect, to the extent that if at any point in time he feels that he's not allowed to perform his duties as vice president or that his office has been delegated, I can assure you he will do the needful.
The question I would like you to answer is, if there is anything wrong between both men, does the VP as the freedom or the liberty based on the civil service rule of collective responsibility to come out to say, look, I've been victimized by my principal? Do you think that possibly can happen under our present political climate?
Well, it is not going to happen in a democratic setup because we have not advanced to that stage where people or appointees will be in a position to quit by telling the appointer, we want to go, or I want to go. I have not seen anything. Everything is based on speculation. The vice president has not called for help. My good friend and brother, Yinko Dumaki, mentioned the case of Ebito Kiwe. Maybe he also forgot that of Vice President Atiku Abubakar. When President Obasanjo wanted the issue of the third term and all that, he spoke out. And it went like that. That relationship continued that way. I don't want to be speaking on issues that will not do our roads, that will not give us power, that will not get the youth back to work. All these distractions will not solve our problems. I am talking of a situation whereby we have too much money to recover from people who have looted our common patrimony. Shehu, we should not be distracted. I have told you that this vice president has been engaged. Check before the election all that he did. Most engaged of all the vice presidents. He was engaged better than Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And even during the time of Yaradua, though he was not too strong, if you trace back to 1999, you will be unfair and uncharitable to say that he has been sidelined. Let him say so. He has his own age to say so. I am concerned about all the issues that will help the common man, common good. We are talking about the issue of fight against corruption, which very soon the tenure of the incumbent will lapse, and we are rooting for his reappointment because we don't want a new person that will come and start learning on the job. And what he has done speaks for itself. We are talking about the unemployment of the youth. We are talking about crime and criminality. We are talking about insurgency. Nigerians should pay more attention to these critical issues so that we can move forward rather than conjuncting that the president is trying to remove the vice president. The vice president has not asked for help. And we should not cry more than the bereaved. He has not told us that he's bereaved. Vice president is busy enjoying his office. I told you he's in Niger today. A few days ago, he presided over ESCO. We don't know what he will do tomorrow or next week before the president comes.
Chief Daniwaya, let me ask you, these are some of the, sorry, let me quickly put this to you. For example, some critics have said, why will a bill be taken to London for the president to sign when he has an active vice president on the seat in Nigeria? Legally speaking, is there anything wrong in that?
Shehu, I am sure that the president did not sign that bill at Piccadilly rail station, or he signed it at Thames Bridge. I'm sure he signed it in Nigerian House. Nigerian House in London is part of Nigeria. American Embassy in Nigeria, if you run in there, Nigerian government is chasing you, they will move back. They won't get there. If he signed that bill into law in Nigerian House in London, it is perfectly in order because he signed it on Nigerian soil. So I do not, you see, these are the distractions.
But legally speaking, apologies, let me come in again. The question is that legally speaking, there's been argument on whether the time that the president gets out of office, the provision of the law on whether or not he should hand over to the vice president as provided by the law, is there anything that contravenes the law in what has happened so far?
If President Muhammad Buhari stays beyond 21 days, he will hand over, he will transmit a letter to the National Assembly. And with his calculation from what we are told, he will be coming back before 20 days. So the Constitution made that provision until he stays for 21 days. The National Assembly will now force that something to happen. Something will be kickstarted by the National Assembly. So let us, the law is there. The Constitution is there. The Constitution, the lawmaker knew why he kept it at 21 days. Not when he's traveling somewhere, you transmit. I am somebody who believes that when a president is going on medical vacation or going on vacation, he should hand over. But the Constitution has said when he stays beyond 21 days, are we going to put into the Constitution what is not written?
It's interesting that you are from the southeast region of the country, Chief Nwanyao, and these are some of the arguments that have come up. Some people have said this all undercurrent that we are hearing or saying is about the 2023 politics. Do you think so? And from your view, where would you think that the 2023 presidency should go? Southwest, South-South, Southeast, or the North?
Shehu, I don't want you to anticipate me, but what I know is that in 2023, power will shift. President Muhammad Buhari will be going on retirement. A new president will be elected, and that president will come from the southern part of Nigeria. We have started that shift, and we'll continue it until we get to the point when we look at the gamut of forgetting about.
All right, let me quickly cut in, because I understand that we have Malam Garba Shehu back with us now. Malam Garba Shehu, you probably will lead us to the end of the program with your final thoughts on the program today. What else do you have to tell Nigerians? A lot of people will believe that the issue of the politics of 2023 is what is playing out. Well, I guess that's where we leave it. I understand that we lost the connection there with Malam Garba Shehu. But I want to sincerely thank Malam Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, and also Chief Dan Nwanyao, the National Chairman of Zenith Labour Party. Always a pleasure having you on the program and sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That's our show for today. And thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye.